one verse. We could read the translation of one or two verses, maybe two verses. So each time we can think of them. So I'll read the first two verses, the translation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are always engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and dancing. They are just like the ocean of love of God, and they're popular both with the gentle and with the ruffians, because they're not envious of anyone. Whatever they do, they are all pleasing to everyone, and they're fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Thus, they're engaged in missionary activities meant to deliver all the conditioned souls in the material universe. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizingly studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they're honored all over the three worlds, and they're worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental, loving service of Radha and Krishna. So, this is a very special quality of the Goswamis, which is the quality of a pure devotee, hard to emulate. Is they're just like the ocean of love of God. They're popular both with the gentle and with the ruffians, because they're not envious of anyone. So dhira dhira, we are generally popular among the gentle, but not among the ruffians. But they are popular both among the gentle and the ruffians, and they're honored all over the three worlds. And they're worth taking shelter of because they're absorbed in the mood of the gopis and engaged in the transcendental, loving service of Radha and Krishna. Very beautiful verse, very nice verses. So, yes, next time we'll read verses 3 and 4 like this every time. We'll read a few. Okay, so we will begin now with our prayers to the spiritual master. We must always do that. Om Jnanam Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadahmayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitangsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so here are the 64 items of sadhana, of devotional service. And last time, who remembers what point did we come to? Sorry.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I think we completed 19 only
Yes.
with 30 uh, activities
Yes.
under it. And we saw, we compared two, one from Varaha Puran and
Mm.
one from, I forgot the name, Prabhuji, but yeah, two places we compared.
Yes. No, very nice. So we covered number 19 only, which was to avoid the offenses against the deity and the holy name. So avoiding offenses. Because 11 to 20 are activities to be avoided, 1 to 10 were activities to be accepted, right? And now we only covered one because, as you mentioned, under that are 30 offenses that Rupa Goswami talks about that we need to avoid, 10 of them being against the holy name of Krishna. And now in this chapter, in this chapter 9, we move from 8 to 9, we're going to cover a lot from 20 all the way to 42. 20 to 42. And from 21 to 51 are items of sadhana. So nothing in particular, nothing like kind of general items, but then certain items um, uh, Rupa Goswami will, focus on more, or we will focus on more because they are essentially repetitions or reconfirmations of the 5 most potent items of devotional service, which we talk about at the end. So among the 64, at the end, he'll talk about 5 that are most potent, but those 5 appear through these 64 in different ways. And one of them, for example, is worshiping the deity. Another is chanting the holy name of Krishna. Another is reading Bhagavatam. Another is associating with devotees. And the final one is going to places of pilgrimage. So wherever these 5 appear in these 64, there tends to be more focus on them because they're just very important. The other ones are supportive, but these are the 5 things that our acharyas focused on particularly. So it's going to be now a very special discussion. We're moving into the next 20 or so um, items of devotional service. Now, I'm just going to share this screen again. So chapters 9 through 12. Srila Rupa Goswami confirms that all the quotations given in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu from different scriptures are accepted by the great acharyas and devotees of the Lord. So why is he mentioning this? Item 32 refers to singing songs in glorification of the Lord. Item 33 refers to the congregational chanting of the Lord's holy names, qualities, and pastimes. Item 34 refers to japa, and item 63 to congregational chanting of the holy name. So there's so many items on just the same one because of its importance. And what Rupa Goswami and what we're talking about here is what he's saying is that in this section, he already listed the items. So what is the need to go through them in detail? Because in this section, he is giving the scriptural basis for these items. And so he's establishing that Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, is an authorized scripture because it refers to the items of devotional service and quotes from authoritative scriptures to support those items of devotional service. And this is why it is authoritative. This is why Rupa Goswami quotes all these scriptures to establish the items of devotional service. Because all the knowledge, all the information is there in the scriptures like the Puranas, the Upanishads, the Vedas, but it's spread around, and we are not able to know by our own intelligence the essentials. So what our acharyas do is that they mine it for the essentials and they place it in a systematic form. So you'll notice all the nectar devotion it's the teachings on bhakti systematized. Rupa Goswami is claiming, I'm not giving anything new. It's there, but I'm putting it in the correct, I'm just systemizing it for you. In the same way, you'll notice that Jiva Goswami's work, or Gaudiya Vaishnavism in general, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, are simply a systemization of the philosophy of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this, though it's an obvious point, sometimes it's not so obvious, but when you study the Bhagavatam, and then you study Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching, you notice it's exactly the same thing. He took the Srimad Bhagavatam and systematized it, like brought some, because Bhagavatam is pure rasa. It doesn't try to make a structure out of it. You have this pastime going in that pastime and this teaching and these prayers and all these things. So our acharyas are taking these things and putting them together. So certain items are focused on. Singing and chanting appears, as I mentioned to you, 1, 2, 3, 4 times at least in the 64 items. On hearing scriptures, also very important one. Item 43 refers to hearing about Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Item 54 refers to serving the scriptures by hearing, studying, and worshiping. Item 64 refers to absorption in Krishna consciousness through hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. So here we begin, chapter 9. One second. Excuse. Sorry. Okay. Okay. My computer froze for 1 minute. Okay. Scriptural evidence is given for items 20 to 42 of the 64 angas of bhakti, with emphasis on deity worship, chanting, and prayer. So once again, we went until 19. 20 again are things not to be done, and 11 to 20. So this is the last one of those things of not to be done, or things to be avoided, which is blasphemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his devotees. One should be very intolerant toward the blasphemy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his devotees. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:24-40. My dear king, if a person, after hearing blasphemous propaganda against the Lord and his devotees, does not go away from that place, he becomes bereft of the effect of all pious activities. So This was the principle. This was the principle. And then he gave the scriptural basis for that. One should be intolerant of it. So the most basic form of intolerance is that I'm not going to be present, right? I'm going to leave. So as we will discuss, there's different ways of being intolerant. And the most effective is to respond to the person and cut their arguments, cut their offensive statements by logic, so that the person sees this is incorrect. However, if one cannot do that, then one can just leave the place, right? One can say, I won't hear it, and show intolerance of that bad behavior, of that offensive um, offensive conversation. Show intolerance of that by leaving the place. Prabhupada writes, in one of Lord Chaitanya's Shikshashtaka verses, it is stated, the devotee should be more tolerant than the tree and more submissive than the grass. He should offer all honor to others, but may not accept any honor for himself. In spite of Lord Chaitanya's being so humble and meek as a devotee, when he was informed about injuries inflicted on the body of Sri Nityananda, he immediately ran to the spot and wanted to kill the offenders. Wow, what an amazing thing. Jaga and Madhai. This behavior of Lord Chaitanya is very significant. It shows that a Vaishnava may be very tolerant and meek, foregoing everything for his personal honor. But when it is a question of the honor of Krishna or his devotee, he will never tolerate any insult. So it's very hard to be humble and tolerant. But it's even harder to be humble and tolerant and at the same time know when we must not be submissive and humble and tolerant, when we should be intolerant and we should speak up. Because that's why this is a lifetime of spiritual practice, right? It takes prayer and practice and a pure heart to be able to know that right now I should be tolerant and meek, but no, at this point I should not. I should speak up. And then even when we do speak up, we have to see who are we speaking up to. Jaga and Madhai were, thugs. And so it's quite clear that chastisement was needed, and Lord Chaitanya chastised them. But sometimes the person who is insulting is also a devotee. So when we speak up to them, when we respond to them, if we do it too heavily, we may end up doing the same offense that they're doing, where we are now insulting them in a way that is too much. So, but what this passage, it's so nice, this passage, what it's showing is that being humble and tolerant is not a sentimental state of mind. Being humble and tolerant is not a way out, that we don't have our duty to perform, that we don't have the duty to say the right thing at the right time, and that we can just avoid all conflict and go away. Lord Chaitanya shows by example that he accepted that conflict, he encountered that conflict, and in that way he was he was trying to serve Krishna. He was trying to show the example of how we should serve Krishna, how we should serve him. One should decorate the body with tilak, which is the sign of Vaishnavas. So now we finished 20. Now a bit lighter items are coming, right? So we should decorate the body with tilak. So at least on the forehead. In the whole body, sometimes it's not possible. It's possible, it's very easy to do, but we may feel a little lazy to do it all over the body. Okay, but at least on the forehead, tilak should always be there as much as possible. Maybe we have to go to work. We cannot wear it there, but at all other times we should try to have that on our forehead. This tilak, it's chandan, and these two lines represent the two lotus feet of Krishna. And just like on the two lotus feet of Krishna, we put chandan on these two lines, so to say. The meditation is that the feet are here on my forehead, and on those feet I'm applying chandan. And then to the lotus feet of Krishna, two things are applied. One is chandan, and the other is what? What do we put on Krishna's lotus feet?
Tulsi.
That's the tulsi leaf here. That's why the tulsi is below the 2 feet of Krishna. So imprinting this on our forehead is reminding us that Krishna's feet are on my forehead. What does that mean? Krishnera Nitya Das. I am the servant of Krishna. That is my identity. And because of our conditioned state, if we don't have the tilak, we may forget that. Even when we have the tilak, we forget it. But this is there to remind us, very deep significance, that Krishna's feet are on my head. The tulsi leaf is there, the chandan is there. And because Krishna's feet are imprinted on my head, then this body is the Lord's temple, right? Because wherever the Lord's feet are present, wherever the Lord is present and Krishna is there within our heart, that place is called a temple. So this is also reminding us that the body is a temple of God because Krishna is present there. And because it's a temple must be kept clean, right? The purpose of a temple is to use it in Krishna's service. A temple intrinsically means a house of worship, a place for worshiping the Lord, for serving the Lord. So similarly, the purpose of my body is to serve it, is to use it in Krishna's service, is to engage it in Krishna's service. Just like a temple should be kept clean and pure and sanctified, this body should also be kept in that way because it has the footprints of Krishna. It's the temple of God. So sometimes people ask us, why do we wear this tilak? So this is an explanation you can give. And then when they hear it, they really respect it. Oh, yeah, I always thought this body is a temple of God. They really like it, And they say this, it represents Krishna's feet, the 2 lines, and then this tulsi is there. So even non-devotees, Americans, Westerners, who don't know anything about Krishna consciousness, they can respect this. And the amazing thing also about the tilak is like, if you had some other face paint and you went out, it would be embarrassing. But something about the tilak, that when anyone puts it on, anyone, I've noticed their face looks so much beautiful, so much more beautiful than without the tilak. And so people also are attracted to it. Like it's not something they repel, it's so somehow graceful and beautiful because it's spiritual that people look at it and they're like, wow, like this is so beautiful. This is, and devotees look very vibrant when they wear tilak. So, tilak should be like brushing our teeth. We can't go out without it. It becomes part of us. It's said, my Guru Maharaj used to say that one should never go in front of the spiritual master without wearing tilak. It's an offense to actually go to the spiritual master without wearing this. And so the spiritual master is always in the temple. So at least in the temple, we should wear it. These days, it's a fad that, devotees are just, going in regular clothes, no tilak, because I'm a devotee, relax, kind of, what's the need for these external signs? But it's needed because it's one of the principles of bhakti. One should decorate the body with tilak, which is a sign of Vaishnavas. It's one of the principles of bhakti laid down by Rupa Goswami. So who are we to say that, oh, this is external, this is not necessary? We follow the acharyas, and the acharyas are saying we should wear it. So we cannot undermine its importance. Of course, Prabhupada said for the purpose of spreading Krishna consciousness or simply for practicality, in certain situations, we may not be able to wear it. But Prabhupada said when he was asked about, even preaching activities, for book distribution, for example, he told the devotees that, okay, yes, you should wear pants and shirt when you go out because if you wear dhoti, people don't want to approach you or they feel too intimidated. But he said, but still wear tilak. He says tilak you should wear, but dhoti and kurta you can avoid. And I see that myself when I go on book distribution sometimes. And if the tilak is not there, it's actually harder to distribute books. Tilak is there, then people are you know they like it. It's something transcendental. So the Padma Puran says, persons who put tulsi beads on the neck and who have Vishnu tilak on their foreheads make the world purified, and anywhere they remain, they make that place as good as Vaikuntha. Wow, just by these two things, they make that place as good as Vaikuntha. Skanda Puran, persons who are decorated with tilak, gopi chandan, and who mark their bodies all over the holy names, all over with the holy names of the Lord, and on whose necks and breasts there are tulsi beads, are never approached by the Yamadutas. So if we're wearing these at the time when we give up our body, then the Yamadutas won't come. Like, if we're wearing tilak when we die and have tulsi beads when we die, the Yamadutas won't come. And this is why even, the time when doctors tell us to take it off is generally when we go for like a surgery, medical procedure. But that's the one time when we shouldn't take it off. Because, I mean, we shouldn't take it off at any time. We can die at any moment. But we can, when you're in the hospital, it's already a risk for life, right? There's some medical procedure, anything can happen. So as far as possible, we should be insistent. And many times what they can do is they can tape it up. If they put tape around it, then the little metal that is there doesn't interfere with their instruments. Of course, if it's a surgery right here, then it's a problem, but generally, it's in some other part of the body. So we should try to ask them that, no, I would like to keep this on. Can you tape it up and, try to, and then it works out. It works out most of the time. This is at the end of life when someone's dying. This is why they put tulsi in their mouth and they, because having tulsi and gopi chandan are very conducive for our spiritual elevation. Sometimes when we write Hare Krishna on the body, wow, this is so nice. Like we have the inclination. Some people have the inclination to do body art, right? Put art on their body, this, that. So we can write the holy name on our body. This is how name conscious we should be, that even in our body, we are putting the holy name of Krishna. One should accept flowers and garlands that have been offered to the deity and the spiritual master and put them on one's body. So we sometimes say, oh, what would this prasad I will do with? But no, we should accept them. We should place them on our body. We should put them on our head and purify our existence. And then after that, we can take the flowers and garlands and put them on the earth outside. So people are worried, well, what will I do with it? If I take this, you can take it and put it outside, put it on a tree, someplace. Even if one does not accept all the Vaishnava principles, but still takes the remnants of foodstuff offered to Krishna or Krishna Prasad, he will gradually become qualified to rise to the platform of a Vaishnava, Srila Prabhupada says. Even if one does not accept all these, principles, but you take the prasad, and this is the context of why Prabhupada is mentioning this here. The flower garlands, the remnants, any form of prasad from the devotees will become qualified. We will become purified. 24, one should learn to dance before the deity. Many of us feel it not as one of the very necessary principles to dance before the deity, right? I sing, I chant, I go for Mangal Arati, I stand there. But dancing is like, well, maybe that's for only young people or maybe for the extrovert personalities. But it's one of the principles of bhakti that we should dance. Imagine how much energy there would be in our temples if everyone was dancing during kirtan. How much energy would, how, it would actually show to Krishna and to the world that we love Krishna so much because you dance in joy. But we stand, even if we're, seasoned devotees, we don't want to move around and dance, but we should dance, Rupa Goswami is saying. Dvarka Mahatmya says, a person who is in a jubilant spirit, who feels profound devotional ecstasy while dancing before me, and who manifests different features of bodily expression, can burn away all the accumulated sinful reactions he has stocked up for many years, many thousands of years. Just see. So this was there for the tradition that every person in Vedic civilization and every proclivity that a person had was engaged in the service of Krishna. So dancing spontaneously during kirtan is obviously one of the meanings, but even learning dance and becoming very expert in it can be engaged in Krishna's service as one of the limbs of devotional service. Of course, done not for personal fame or prestige, or honor, but done for the service of Krishna is so wonderful. Chandramauli Maharaj really likes to dance and he tries to get everyone up to dance. And I was thinking one time, well, I just want to sit and hear the Kirtan Madhav Prabhu singing and why we should dance. And like, it distracts the mind because when you're dancing, then you think about, well, what move should I do to dance? And I can't think about the chanting. Yes, on my stage, right? But he feels profound devotional ecstasy when he dances. And he wants us also to practice experiencing that devotional ecstasy by dancing before the Lord. Because we can also be sitting there listening to the kirtan and just spacing out, which is majority my state of mind. So at least then when we're dancing for Krishna. And in that dancing, we may start feeling ecstasy. So the point of dancing is not to show our dancing skills, but to actually feel ecstasy, to feel jubilant. And that, just doing that, feeling jubilant and dancing, burns away accumulated sinful reactions for many, many thousands of years, because most people are not willing to do that, right? If you see people when they have, it's very hard to get people to dance. That's the last thing that they want to do. So, and it says, and manifest different bodily expression. So, Bharatanatyam dance, traditional forms of dance done for the deity, for the Lord, also involves bodily facial expressions. So that is also, one can make it into a full art form. And girls in the past would do this as their form of worship to the Lord. Like we know in Jagannath Puri temple, they would dance just for the Lord. No one else would watch their dancing. And that was their offering, their service to Krishna. In the same way, in Manipur, every single girl learns how to dance. It's part of the state practice. And then once a year, they have this Maharas dance where tens of thousands of girls, they will dance. And they're reenacting the Rasa Leela of Krishna. So the Vaishnav government there, which was there for such a long time, they are basically like Krishna, when he danced in the Rasa dance, he was dancing with millions of gopis, is described. So these wonderful Vaishnav kingdoms, they were wanting that all the girls should dance for Krishna in a Maharas Leela. There's tens of thousands of girls of a certain age, right? They would dance for the pleasure of Krishna. And that's bona fide because that's reenacting Krishna's pastimes in a very respectful and sober way. There is just girls and they're just dancing for Krishna, and it's on a big stage in front of the deity. So it's very uplifting for the whole state. One should learn to bow down immediately upon seeing the deity or spiritual master. We should immediately offer obeisances. I am the servant, and immediately bow down upon seeing the deity or spiritual master. As soon as one visits a temple of the Lord, visits a temple of Lord Krishna, one must stand up. So um, this is kind of a little cryptic, when one visits a temple, one should stand up. But this is a form of respect, right? We should stand when we initially see the deity, we should stand. This is why during Artik, why is a tradition that we stand, right? Sometimes people are sitting during Artik. It's not exactly bona fide. During Abhishek, you'll see in the temples, they have everyone seated. You observe the Abhishek. But during Artik, then everyone will stand up because it's a form of respect. Just like when you're sitting in a room and some respectable person comes in, like the teacher would come in. It used to be, we don't teach that tradition, that culture now, but it used to be the students would immediately stand up. The teacher came in, the whole class would stand because it's a form of respect. So the same mood is there. When the deity is being born for a stroll in the street, a devotee should immediately follow the procession. Again, the principle is make it grand. It's the Lord's procession. The bigger it is, the grander it is. So you follow it and you go along with it. This is in Mayapur. So beautiful, isn't it? A devotee must visit a Vishnu temple at least once or twice a day. Yes, see, sometimes we do our Mangalartik morning program at home, which is very nice, but it's recommended that we visit a temple once a day because just seeing the Lord purifies our heart and our mind. One must circumambulate the temple building at least 3 times. So that's very important. One must worship the deity in the temple according to the regulated principles. So all of these are regulated principles. By circumambulating the deity, we're showing respect. By performing artik, we're showing respect. We're worshiping the Lord. It increases our love for Krishna. Here we see Prabhupada was so careful to teach us nice deity worship according to regulated principles. He was so intent when he was worshiping the deity. He never wanted us to take it frivolously. You see how he's holding the bell in his hand? Like it's not just that he's ringing the bell. He's doing this like so, though he's on the spontaneous level, but in terms of worshiping the deity, nicely regulated. One must render personal service to the deities. One must sing. One must sing for the Lord. Oh, nice. One must perform Sankirtan. One must chant. One must offer prayers. And then this one in number 35 of offering prayers, this now Rupa Goswami talks about the different types of prayers. And so like certain items he then expands on. We'll see that, and this is one that he will expand on now. So samprarthanatmika is that one should very feelingly offer prayers to the Lord. One of the principles of devotional service. Not just that we are saying the Sansara Dava prayers, not just that we are reading the prayers of Queen Kunti, but when we say these prayers, we can say them with much feeling. We are actually praying to Krishna. Please help me. Please guide me. Yuvantinam yatha yuni, yunam cha yuvato yatha, manobhira mate tadvan, mano me ramatam tvaye. Just as the minds of young ladies take pleasure in thinking of young men, and the minds of young men take pleasure in thinking of young women, kindly let my mind take pleasure in you, Krishna alone. So um, this is a earnest prayer, praying for spontaneous devotion to Krishna. And um, and this is the prayer of Krishna, of the devotee. Queen Kunti also says this, Gange Bogamudanvati, let my attraction be drawn towards you without being diverted to anyone else. So this is an example of very feelingly offering prayers, that I just don't do it, but I do it with great feeling, with great attraction for you. Just like we're naturally attracted to material things, material, sensual things, let me be attracted to the spiritual service and form of Krishna. Krishna Deva, I offer this prayer. May my mind like a bee become offered at your feet, which are lotuses of nectar. O Lord, please be merciful to me. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:27-45. Dainya Bodhika, humbly submitting oneself. Matsamo nasti papatma, naparadhi cha kashana, parihare pilajjame, kim bhruvo purushottama. O Purushottama, Supreme Person, there is no one as sinful and offensive as I am. How can I describe myself? I even feel ashamed to give up my sins. So this is an example of humbly submitting oneself. Some prayers are prayers of humility. And here we are seeing the humility of the devotee, that I'm so offensive, I'm so fallen. Please forgive me. Please accept me in spite of that. Even though I am a cheater, the Lord's mercy can drive away my inherent wicked nature. Give me the glowing nectar of divine love and inspire my heart with the process to worship Sri Gandharvika. Therefore, O mind, with pleading words you should worship Sri Giridhari here in Vrindavan. O my Lord, please protect me, who am surrendered unto you. I am most fearful of this ocean of material existence, standing as I am in the mouth of death. Again, expression of humility, that I'm very, very weak. I'm afraid. I'm in the ocean of material existence. I'm standing at the mouth of death, tottering, I'm basically a dead person. Only you can protect me. Krishna, please protect me. Myself and whatever little I possess in this world and in the next, all this I now offer unto your lotus feet. So the third now type of prayer is desiring some perfectional stage. So in the first one, we saw there was an earnest prayer for gaining devotional love, devotional service, right? Very feelingly offering prayers, meaning praying for feeling, offering it feelingly. The second type was expression of humility, and now once one advances, the third form is that one is praying or desiring a perfectional stage in devotional life. And one may say, well, isn't this a selfish desire that I want to be something? No, one is desiring a perfectional stage for the service of Krishna, to revive one's service to Krishna, to remember that this is how I serve Krishna. and I want to continue that service to Krishna. This is how Krishna has always wanted me to serve him, and I want to remember that service to Krishna. So here's a quotation from Prabhupada. When one realizes something of his constitutional relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he understands his original position and wants to be reinstated in this position, either as friend, servant, parent, or conjugal lover of Krishna. That is called lalasamayi, or very eagerly desiring to go to one's natural position. So nice, huh? That is called lalasamayi, or very eagerly desiring to go to one's natural position. So this is not artificial on our level. Oh, I don't want to do this pot washing. I want to become, one of the residents of the spiritual world. Even that is not a bad desire. But one could say that one wants one's own enjoyment and doesn't want to do a service that Krishna wants us to do in this material world, or preaching his glories or whatever. But this is at a stage when one realizes something about one's constitutional relationship. So Krishna and the spiritual master have bestowed recognition, realization, and remembrance of our Swarupa. And because they have revealed that, then one is praying to actually go to one's natural position. Then one is actually praying that, let me continue that service that you want me to do, that you have set aside for me, right? So imagine, and the other thing that this clarifies is that there's that knowing one's eternal spiritual position is different than actually being in that position and going to that position. Because certain even bona fide Vaishnava sampradayas in the past, the self-realized acharya would actually reveal to his disciples that this is your swarupa, because they could see they're in the spiritual world, and when they see a soul, they can recognize their swarupa. But Srila Prabhupada didn't do that, because we would misuse it. He knew, and he talked about it. He could recognize to special disciples. He mentioned, and Prabhupada said that when you're ready, from within your heart, I will tell you. This is Prabhupada's actual quotation I read. He said, when you're ready, the spiritual master from within the heart will come and tell you. He told his disciple, I will come and tell you. But he didn't, reveal that, let's say, at the time of initiation. Because then what happens is that that, and then people will not want to, let's say, distribute books, or serve in the temple, but they'll want to churn butter all day, because they say, I'm Mother Yashoda, not Mother Yashoda, no one can be her, but I'm in the motherly rasa under Mother Yashoda, and so that's what I should do. No, because at this stage of sadhana and this stage of spiritual practice, we must do as directed by the spiritual master. And so therefore, Prabhupada doesn't reveal that so early. But once we are ready, then he reveals it. So knowing one's constitutional relationship is a very high stage to begin with. But then just because one knows it, which even sometimes not so advanced devotees come to know, doesn't mean that one can actually enter into it. Right? It doesn't mean one can actually enter into it, because sometimes even devotees who are not so strictly following, somehow they get a mercy at some point when they are strictly following, that this is my swarupa, and then they stop following. And then you think, well, if this person knew their swarupa, how did they leave? Because they knew it, it was revealed to them, but they didn't actually enter into it. Enter into it is a very high stage. And Lala Samai is that practice, is the prayer by which one is begging Krishna to allow one to be reinstated in their position of service. So it's a prayer for reinstatement. The Lalasamai stage of submission comes in the stage of perfect liberation, which is technically called Sarupa Siddhi, when the living entity understands by perfect spiritual advancement and revelation his original relationship with the Lord. So this stage comes at the stage of Swarupa Siddhi. So Swarupa Siddhi is the Siddhi of knowing one's Swarupa, one's original position in relationship to Krishna. Okay. So one of the principles also, and so this prayer, what's an example of this prayer? The Lalasa Mai prayer. We said that this position comes at a very high stage. However, our Goswamis, our Acharyas, are so eager to bring us to that stage that they're actually having us say that prayer. They're actually, we are, but we can still pray in that way, though we don't know what our position is, and though we're not asking for a specific reinstatement. We're not asking for a specific position in the spiritual world because we don't know it. We are still praying in that way. And what's an example of that prayer? Big hint here, hint, hint. Every day. Yes,
Tulsi Krishna Priyasi.
yes, yes. The song that we sing every morning to Mother Tulsi, Tulsi Devi, is exactly a Lalasamai prayer. It's requesting Tulsi Maharani, who is Tulsi Maharani is Bhakti Devi. Not Bhakti, I was just hearing
Brinda
Vrinda
Devi.
Devi. Huh?
Sorry, I just said Brinda Devi. I didn't realize I was still.
Yes, yes. No, Vrinda Devi, absolutely. But she is she is I just heard it recently. I forgot someone mentioned that she's actually, I can't remember if it was Bhakti Devi or it was another specific person in the mood of, in the realm of devotion, that she's the bestower, a very special devotion to Krishna. That's why we say that if you worship Tulsi, you serve Tulsi, you advance very nicely, because it's not just that it's one of the practices of devotional life and serving her is, helping us advance. It's because she particularly has a role in bestowing bhakti to Krishna. And so it's not by chance that we are praying to her particularly. Mora e abilash, bilash kunje diovas. That it is my desire, and of course not ours, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur's desire, and we are repeating that. We are simply repeating what he is saying. His words, his ecstasy. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, my desire that you please give me place in the kunjas of Vrindavan. Vilas kunje diovas. Um, um, and then another one in the English translation is, please give me the privilege of devotional service, right? So he's asking for that privilege to be able to serve Krishna. And specifically in the Kunjas of Vrindavan, and that is Swarupa Siddhi. So we don't know that. Why are we singing that? Because we cannot sing, but we can repeat what the acharyas are singing and try to imbibe that mood. We cannot artificially ask for something we don't know what to ask for, but we can imbibe that mood by repeating their words. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj made a very good point one time that Prabhupada engaged us in sadhana bhakti, and we are engaged in sadhana bhakti, but he engaged us in sadhana bhakti that is directed towards raga bhakti. He is actually engaged us in raga bhakti, but it's a sadhana that is aimed towards raga bhakti. Because we're not ready for raga bhakti, we can't do that. All of these, so many of these things that we do, the songs that we sing, the bhajans that we sing, are all raga bhakti. And we're singing them in a regulated way without having the raga ourselves. Therefore, it's called sadhana bhakti. But really, it is sadhana mixed with raga. So that's a prayer, an example of Lalasamai. O lotus-eyed Lord, when will I dance on the bank of the Yamuna with tears in my eyes while singing your names? Right? So this is another prayer by Vaishnavacharya asking for the perfection being able to dance on the bank of the Yamuna. This could mean like the cowherd boys, they're dancing with Krishna, and they have tears in their eyes. We think, oh, they're just playing. We don't realize that in the spiritual world, there's great ecstasy in everything that happens. So we enact it in a drama, and we say, oh, Madhu Mangal and Sridham, they were playing ball, and that's what it was. And it's so funny, isn't it? It's just, but it's more than that. They are actually, in ecstasy, a love for Krishna when they're doing that. In the same way, the Rasa Leela is also described to happen on the bank of the Yamuna. It's not just anywhere, it happens on the bank of the Yamuna. And so it could be referring, this Acharya's song, this prayer could be referring to being part of Krishna's Rasa Leela. Who knows what's their Swarupa? But they're praying for that perfection. And the gopis are dancing for millions of years with Krishna on the bank of the Yamuna River, like that. O Master of the Universe, when will you, accompanied by Lakshmi, say with a deep voice to me, eager to serve you with the chamara, please come here. So this is a devotee who is thinking of their service to Lord Vishnu in Vaikuntha, and they're feeling ecstasy, thinking about that service and waiting for the Lord to call them to offer the chamara service to the Lord. Yes. Shri Narottam Thakur Shri Rupa Manjari Pada. It states, by the power of those lotus feet, my activities will become favorable to devotion. I will achieve spiritual perfection. And with these two eyes, I shall be able to actually see, both day and night, the flood of exquisite beauty of Sri Rupa Manjari's divine lotus feet will shine like the brilliant full moon upon the lotus of my heart, soothing my afflicted soul. Narottam Das. Radha Krishna Pranamore. In a forest of small kadamba trees on the bank of the Yamuna, I will seat the divine couple on a throne made of brilliant jewels. I will anoint their dark and fair forms with sandalwood paste, scented with chuya, and I will fan them with a chamra whisk. Oh, when will I behold their moon-like faces? After stringing together garlands of malati flowers, I will place them around their necks, and I will offer tambula scented with camphor to their lotus mouths. In other words, one should learn how to cry for the Lord. One should learn this small technique. And he should be very eager and actually cry to become engaged in some particular type of service. This is called lolium, and such tears are the price for the highest perfection. Such tears are the price for the highest perfection. One should learn how to cry for Krishna. Prabhupada writes this in the Krishna book also, and he's writing it here in the Nectar devotion also, that the devotee must learn how to cry for Krishna. And that doesn't mean crying artificially. One must learn how to cry, right? So that means developing genuine feelings for Krishna in a way that we are crying for the Lord. Please, Krishna, get me out of this material world. Please solve my mind and all these things so I can think of you in this way. I can see you seated on a brilliant throne with jewels and your moon-like faces, right? When we go to Mayapur, we see Radha Madhav, or Vrindavan, see Radha Shyam Sundar, we see the moon-like faces of the Lord. They're asking, when will these two eyes, we're so proud of our eyes want to see this and that, but when will we just day and night see the exquisite beauty of Sri Rupa Manjari's divine lotus feet? Narottam Das Thakur is praying like this. Not just praying to see Krishna, but praying to see the Manjaris and the Gopis. And Sri Rupa Goswami is a Manjari, so praying to see the devotees of the Lord in their perfected stage. And he says, that will soothe my afflicted soul. If one develops this lolyam or excessive eagerness for meeting and serving the Lord in a particular way, that is the price to enter into the kingdom of God. Otherwise, there's no material calculation for the value of the ticket by which one can enter the kingdom of God. The only price for this, the only price for such entrance is this lolyam lalasamai, or desire and great eagerness. So the name of this type of prayer is lalasamai, but it is this type of prayer that actually gains us entrance into the kingdom of God. This lolyam, this greed, is what gets us entrance, and we will only have this type of prayer if we are very greedy to enter into the kingdom of Krishna. And we will only be very greedy when we know about it, when we are hankering for it. So the prayer is so intrinsically related with entering into Krishna's abode and gaining perfection, because that's a sign of our greed. That's a sign that we really want to go back to Krishna. And these are, of course, the different stages of bhakti that we talk about in detail. And Rupa Goswami in following chapters will delineate these different stages. We haven't gone through them carefully until now, but it starts with Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, and Prema. Right? So these are all the different stages of devotional life. And we must, and it's at this stage of lala samaya, of intense greed, that we start to develop bhava. So then we just talked about prayer, that one should pray to the Lord. And then Rupa Goswami mentions the same thing, but he's saying something slightly different. He says one must recite notable prayers. So we may now feel unhappy that, well, I can't pray in these ways. Well, the way we can pray is we repeat the prayers of those who can pray in that way. And those are the notable prayers, like the prayers, for example, of Brahma to Lord Krishna. Such beautiful prayers. After he makes his mistake, he comes to Krishna and he offers prayers to the Lord. And these are recited by sages again and again, repeated again and again, because he's describing the sweetness and beauty of Krishna and the greatness of Krishna. Similarly, the prayers of Queen Kunti are specific prayers that Prabhupada said that we can commit to memory, to heart, so that we can pray to Krishna with great feeling. Similarly, the prayers of Bhishma Dev are another one that Prabhupada really liked. Similarly, the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Nrsingadev is another set of prayers. The prayers of the gopis to Krishna, the song of Gopi Gita, is very, very nice. All these notable prayers should be recited and remembered. Reciting notable prayers. In the Skanda Puran, the glories of these prayers are stated as follows. Devotees whose tongues are decorated always with prayers to Lord Krishna are always given respect, even by the great saintly persons and sages, and such devotees are actually worshipable by the demigods. In Nrsimha Puran, it is stated, any person who comes before the deity of the Lord and begins to chant different prayers is immediately relieved from all the reactions of sinful activities and becomes eligible without any doubt to enter into the Vaikuntha Loka. So just by every process of devotional life is so wonderful. Just by chanting, we can do this, just by hearing, and just by reciting prayers. And prayers is sometimes something very nice because it also enwraps our mind, right? So in chanting, sometimes which is our key practice, the most basic. But sometimes in chanting, our mind goes here and there. But in prayers, because the devotee is actually saying something, and it's a specific thought, we can focus easily. And so reciting prayers is so nice, and not just prayers, any prayers, but that prayers of great devotees. So not made up prayers. It should be not bhajans that we find on the street, playing in some street of India, but rather the authoritative prayers of the acharyas, because those devotees are worshipable, their prayers are worshipable. They become immediately relieved from reactions. One who does that comes before the deity and starts praying and becomes eligible to enter Vaikuntha Loka. So wonderful, isn't it? Arjuna's prayers to Krishna, so nice. You are without origin, middle, or end. Your glory is unlimited. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are your eyes. I see you with blazing fire coming forth from your mouth, burning this entire universe by your own radiance. Another prayer. This is Shiva's prayer to the Lord. The Lord's abdomen is beautiful due to 3 ripples in the flesh, being so round. His abdomen resembles the leaf of a banyan tree. And when he exhales and inhales, the movement of the ripples appears very, very beautiful. The coils within the navel of the Lord are so deep that it appears that the entire universe sprouted out of it, and yet again wishes to go back. You see, every aspect of the Lord is so beautiful. Here, Lord Shiva is just marveling on the ripples on the stomach of the Lord, on the abdomen of the Lord, and his deep navel. Like, so many prayers glorify his eyes and his lips and his face, his lotus feet. But here we find a prayer that's glorifying, that's meditating upon the navel of the Lord. Here's Gajendra's prayer. My Lord, you are the observer of all the objectives of the senses. Without your mercy, there's no possibility of solving the problem of doubts. The material world is just like a shadow resembling you. Indeed, one accepts this material world as real because it gives a glimpse of your existence. O Lord of Madhu, this is the verse I was referring to, as the Ganges forever flows to the sea without hindrance. Queen Kunti saying, let my attraction be constantly drawn unto you without being diverted to anyone else. Exclusive bhakti, lolyam, lalasamai, right? Intense greed for Krishna. Let my attraction be drawn to you without being diverted to anyone else. This is the stage that's being begged for, asked for. My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because of my association with material desires, one after another, I was gradually falling into a blind well full of snakes, following the general populace. But your servant Narad Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve this transcendental position. Therefore, my first duty is to serve him. How could I leave his service? Again, the devotees of the Lord are worshipable, and the devotees' prayers are worshipable. So Prahlad Maharaj here is worshiping his spiritual master Narad Muni, who, because of him, he said, I came to even know you and serve you. So how can I leave his service and even serve you? My first duty is to serve him. So he's praising the devotee. He's worshiping Narad Muni. And then we are worshiping his prayers. We are reciting Prahlad Maharaj's prayers. O my Lord, as powerful as fire, O omnipotent one, now I offer you all obeisances, falling on the ground at your feet. O my Lord, please lead me on the right path to reach you. And since you know all that I have done in the past, please free me from the reactions to my past sins, so that there will be no hindrance to my progress. So this is a prayer by the author. Even the Upanishads are prayers. This is Isha Upanishad. And the author is praying to the Lord that please free me from the reaction of the past sins so I can take shelter of you. And why they're praying like this? Because it's actually sinful life. It's actually papa, our sinful proclivities and the reactions of those activities that stop us, that hinder our progress in devotional life, right? Just like sometimes we say, well, I was just on the path, like I was regulated, I was getting up for Mangalarti every day, everything was going well, and then all of a sudden, the schedule gets messed up and we can't make it to Mangalarti, and our progress was going so well, and then it gets destroyed. Without any hindrance, we're doing regulated practice, and then we think, what happened? I was just doing so well, my spiritual life went back flat. That's because of papa, of sins. We're also performing sinful life, and then if we don't give up sinful life, then that causes some obstacle in our bhakti. So one way is to be very determined, so no matter what obstacle is, we continue, and then hopefully the sinful life will go away. But simultaneously, we have to stop sinful activities. So this devotee is saying, please burn up the past sinful reactions so that I can, without any hindrance, take shelter of your lotus feet. You have asked about singing the prayers of Narottam Das Thakur, Prabhupada is saying, and yes, they are very much approved in any language. Well, Narottam Das Thakur's prayers, Prabhupada, are non-different than Bhagavatam, Vedic scriptures. They have all the, Prabhupada says, all the imports of Vedic knowledge are there in the prayers of these great acharyas, particularly Narottam Das Thakur and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Prabhupada said this multiple times. Number 37, my favorite one, I think, hands down. One must taste Mahaprasadam. So that is one of the principles of bhakti. The next time someone disturbs you in taking Mahaprasad, let them know. Number 37 of Nectar Devotion. Go and read it, please, Prabhu. Number 37. One must drink Charnamrita. So this is actually, the Charnamrita has mystical powers. People drink Charnamrita of the Lord, and something happens. Their whole life gets transformed. They drink the Charnamrita and they're struggling with something, or something bad is happening, and it gets solved. Charnamrit is the Charnamrit. It's the water, it's the liquid that's washed Krishna's charana, his lotus feet. And we drink that footbath water of Krishna's lotus feet, Prabhupada, all the deities combined together. It's very, very potent. It's like the most effective cough syrup. It removes all the mature mucus out of our body. One must smell the incense and flowers offered to the deity. So when the flowers come, we should look forward to smelling them. We should look forward to putting them on our head. I remember my spiritual master, he was always so eager to get the garland from the deity. Though he was like, he was on the altar so much. He was serving his deities 2 or 3 hours a day, but it's just like he couldn't, he just was so lolyam, so greedy for the mercy of the Lord. Someone would bring a garland, and someone else would think, oh, it's an annoyance. Now disciple number 47 has brought yet another garland from the temple that's offered to the deity. Put it aside, give it to someone else. But he would immediately put his head forward so that they can put the garland around him, because he wanted the blessing of the Lord. And then he'd take the garland off immediately, give it to someone else. But he never was, you could say, hesitant or not enthusiastic to receive the flowers or garland of the Lord. One must touch the lotus feet of the deity. So, of course, one should be properly initiated to do this. But when one is initiated, one should not pass the opportunity of touching Krishna's lotus feet. In fact, one must touch his lotus feet. Anywhere there's mercy, we should run for it, right? And we should be eager for it. Only one who is properly initiated, Prabhupada writes, who is properly following the rules and regulations can enter and touch the deity. Not all. And one who touches the body of the deity following such regulated principles, is immediately delivered from the contamination of material sins. And all of his desires become fulfilled without delay. One must see the deity with great devotion. Prabhupada here. Prabhupada describes in the Lilamrit that as a child, I would spend hours before Radha Govinda, just gazing upon their beauty. Number 42, one must offer artik at different times. So there's every temple has, I think, 4 artiks a day minimum. Some temples have 6 artiks a day. So we must offer artik to the Lord. And that is the end of the chapter. Okay, so we are here, we go. We can, by following these things, we can become immediately free from the contamination of material sins. Okay, so we just have exactly 6 minutes for any questions, comments, and then we need to end. Yashoda Vatsala Prabhu, you can go first.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's a very short question. 32 and 33, once again. 32 is bhajan, right? And 33 is kirtan, or the other way around? Sorry.
I don't actually remember. Can you read them? Do you remember what they said? Or I can look it up here, whatever you.
Congregational chanting is kirtan, right, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Okay. That was 33, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you for making that slight distinction. Very important. We have bhajan and kirtan.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Vimal Bhakti Prabhu, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
So, when you were talking about the blaspheming this, there are in the book,
Mm,
it has 3 steps.
mm,
And then the second step
yeah.
says that
Mm.
one should give up the life. And that
Mhm.
is the second stage. And then after that, it says that you should leave the place.
Mm.
So I was just a little bit.
Yes. So those are the stages of responses based upon our level of advancement. The
Mm.
first stage is that if we are very spiritually advanced, we can defeat the other person, right? So that may be through spiritual power, like physically annihilating the other person, like we see in the scriptures sometimes. For an offender, like Lord Chaitanya's example. Lord Chaitanya's example is there that he came with the Sudarshan Chakra and he was ready to cut off the heads of Jagan Madai. So either physically, which we are not authorized to do, we don't have the position, the authority to do, or one can do it through words. That is the best way. Prabhupada says that if someone is blaspheming, we should cut their arguments through good arguments. We should respond and stop that criticism. If you cannot do that, then best to give up your life. Why? Because when we hear blasphemy of a devotee, our body becomes impure. It's so bad for us that actually the body becomes impure. And we can take that step. Who in our Shastras takes that step? So we have example of that. Who takes that step?
I think that assistant of Chota, what was?
Chota Haridas.
So that's he does because he's so heartbroken, not exactly because of offense, but he says, my life is of no value. Lord Chaitanya has rejected me, so let me give up my life. So that's a
Sanatan
good
Goswami.
example. Huh?
Sanatan Goswami.
No, he's just heartbroken. Oh, yeah, he thinks that I've offended the Lord because the Lord has embraced me and my body is so dirty, I should give up the thing. But he isn't exactly hearing offense to a Vaishnava. He just feels that my body is useless. It will become an offense, so let me give it up. But someone in the Bhagavatam.
Sati Devi?
Yes, Sati Devi. So when she hears blasphemy of Lord Shiva from her father, and it's not just because it's from her father, when she hears blasphemy of Lord Shiva, she says, this body has now become impure because it has heard this blasphemy. I don't want this body anymore. And also she makes the argument that this body comes from a blasphemer like you. You gave birth to this body. The father gives birth, my father and mother give birth to the body, and you are offending Lord Shiva, so this body also must be impure. But mainly because she's heard it, and so she gives up her body, right? But we are not sati, and we cannot imitate these great powerful personalities. So then the third option is, if we cannot do the first two, the third is that we leave the place. Like, I'm not going to engage with it. I don't like it. We leave that place. And also the first option is also an option for us, that we can try to counter. No, you are offending. Okay, let me give you some counter arguments here. But if our counter argument fails, then we can just leave the place. And that's kind of our example, that first we try to respond. We may be successful, wonderful. And if we're unsuccessful, then we just leave the place. And like that, we can avoid the offense.
Thank you, Prabhu. I have one more question. And this is a question from the homework group.
Okay.
Actually, we were doing that, the chapter 8.
Okay.
And the first question, that what is the essence of an offense? We really got stuck into that.
The essence of what?
The essence of an offense.
And what's the essence of an offense?
Yeah.
Yes. So I'll just give a very quick answer. The essence of an offense is to do something that displeases Krishna, that's displeasing to Krishna. That's what an offense is. An offense is something that brings the displeasure of Krishna, and Krishna is most displeased when you offend a Vaishnava, so that's why it's the biggest offense. Krishna is less displeased when we offend him, but also displeased when you do some seva prat, so therefore that's also called an offense. But its essence of offense is that.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. Actually, it's 8:30 here and I have to leave, so we'll just end now. And those of you who have questions, next time we'll start with your questions. Haripriya, maybe you can type up the summary and share it on the WhatsApp group. I just have to go now, so we'll end here.
Dandavad Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavad Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you,
So-
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.